Hello everyone! Welcome to my video presentation assignment number 3, Origin of Schooling. And I am Rogelyn Vicarante from Diplahan National High School, Diplahan, Zamboanga, Sibugay. And in this slide, we have three key concepts: citizenship, educational construction of citizens, and differentiated education. And to further explain this one, let us now proceed to the next slide. What is citizenship? From its root word citizen, which means a member of a community who owe loyalty to a government and in turn are entitled to the protection of the government. So to be a citizen is to hold a position of rights and responsibilities in a society. So in a democratic society such as ours, citizens are rulers. No? So the government belongs to the people. Citizens enjoy many freedoms and rights. Citizens may vote in elections. They can even run for political office. They also have many duties, such as paying taxes and defending their country. And citizenship, of course, is, or this is the rights and duties of citizens. Well, citizenship, first and foremost, legal status is a formal status that gives you the right to live in a particular country, to enter in that particular country freely, and to not be deported from it. So, it's the basic idea of citizenship. And of course, if you're in a wealthy country, perhaps you might have also the rights of welfare, education, and health, and so on. How can you earn citizenship? Actually, we have ways for us to earn citizenship. First, by blood, which means born to parents who are already citizens of a nation, which is the legal principle that at birth, an individual acquires the nationality of his or her natural parents. Another one is by soil. So if born within legal borders of a nation, which is the legal principle that a person's nationality at birth is determined by the place of birth, for example, the territory of the given state, and the other one through naturalization. So by naturalization, which is the judicial act of adopting a foreigner and clothing him with the privileges of a native-born citizen. And it implies the renunciation of a former nationality and the fact of entrance into a similar relations towards a new body politic. And the last one, through naturalization of parents. So this one, example in US, through naturalization of parents, meaning you derive citizenship of one if one of your parents was born in the US, or if one of your parents naturalized prior to your 18th birthday and while you were living in the US in the legal and physical custody of that parent. Another key concept is educational construction of citizens. So schools play a critical role in educating students, not only about formal curriculum, but about life. So one of the most fundamental roles of school in our society is to teach and socialize young people on how to be active members of our democratic society. We must not lose the role of education to prepare students to be informed and engaged citizens alongside on traditional and academic workforce development. So in this slide, I will explain to you the importance of citizenship education. The first question is, why citizenship education important? Citizenship education is important because it gives people the knowledge and skills to understand, challenge, and engage with democratic society, including politics, the media, civil society, the economy, and the law. So democracies need active, informed, and responsible citizens. Citizens who are willing and able to take responsibility for themselves and their communities and contribute to the political process. The next question is, how does it benefit young people? So it helps them to develop self-confidence and sense of agency and successfully deal with the life changes and challenges such as bullying and discrimination. It enables them to make positive contribution by developing the knowledge and experience needed to claim their rights and understand their responsibilities. It prepares them for the challenges and opportunities of adult and working life. And the last question is, who else does it benefit aside from the young people? So, kinsa pa ba? So, of course, citizenship also brings benefits for schools, other educational organizations, and for society at large. So for schools and other educational organizations, it helps to produce motivated and responsible learners. For society, it helps to create an active and responsible citizenry, willing to participate in the life of the nation and the wider world and play its part in the democratic process. So in this slide, I will show you the purpose of education according to Michael B. Horn, one of the commentators. In 1800s, the central role of public schools was to preserve the American democracy and inculcate democratic values. In 1890s and early 1900s, so the competition with a fast rising industrial Germany constituted a mini crisis. The country shifted by creating a new role for public schools to prepare everyone for vocations. That meant providing something for everyone with a flourishing of tracks and courses and enrollment in high school. In late 1970s and early 1980s, another purpose was added to America's schools in the late 1970s and early 1980s, keeping the country competitive, although this one had echoes of the prior purpose. It was quite different as the nation became consumed by how students were doing in school as measured through average test scores. And just 20 years later, the primary purpose shifted again to asking schools to eliminate poverty by not just focusing on schools' average test scores, but instead to make sure that children in every demographic on average reach a basic measure of proficiency in core subjects. The theory of action, in essence, was that academic achievement would unlock opportunity. Another purpose of schooling, according to the authors Brad Gubby and Suja Millier, first we have the liberal interpretation of schooling, which believes schooling is a tool for individual self-development and democratic participation. So these view schools as key institutions that progress individuals towards a freer and more democratic, caring, and humane society. Born out of democratic way of life, schools are places where children should develop their full potential so they can fully, with all their competencies, participate in our democracy. Another is the critical interpretation of schooling, which believes schools reflect economic and social inequalities of society and is used by social groups to reproduce the status quo, which means the way things are. So those with higher social, cultural, and economic capital are more likely than those with lower ones to complete high school, complete a university degree, and occupy occupations with higher than average incomes. So schools therefore reproduce economic and social inequality. So this is according to the critical interpretation of schooling. And the third one is the governmental interpretation of schooling. So this view of schooling begins with a specific interpretations of historical events. So in many ways, the critical and liberal interpretations of schooling chime together in their shared belief that the rightful purpose of education is to educate and empower individuals and communities. The third key concept is differentiated education. Now, what is differentiated education? Well, differentiating instruction means that you observe and understand the differences and similarities among students and use this information to plan instruction. It is a practice of modifying and adapting instruction, materials, content, student projects, and products and assessment to meet the learning needs of individual students. So it is a framework of philosophy for effective teaching that involves providing all students within their diverse classroom community of learners a range of different avenues for understanding new information, often in the same classroom, in terms of acquiring content, processing, constructing, or making sense of ideas, and developing teaching materials and assessment measures so that all students within a classroom can learn effectively, regardless of differences in their ability. So, why is it important? So, why differentiated education is important? It is important because it excites the brilliant students to uncover deeper layers of learning while simultaneously structuring curriculum to support lower level students or students with learning disabilities, both identified and unidentified. These are differentiated instruction according to some authors. So according to Rod Berger, companies providing LMS or the learning management systems, an LMS can break down the barriers to effective teaching and learning by putting more time back in teachers' hands. With proper implementation of this, so these systems can enhance educators' ability to deliver personalized and differentiated instruction. So student information system or the SIS that integrate with a school's LMS can create significant value for both administrators and teachers as well, helping to remove the burdens associated with difficult data management. The next one, according to Phyllis Lackett, educators are developing and implementing personalized learning designs and pedagogical strategies that leverage the needs, strengths, and interests of every student. So building tailored learning pathways and putting the student in charge of their learning experience. So these best practices help to develop learners into agile, resilient thinkers, able to carve out their own entrepreneurial niches, independently manage projects, leap nimbly between careers, and, of course, tackle the fundamentally human tasks that stamp machines. Then, the next one is, according to Jordan Shapiro, education technology or the EdTech. This focus on the ways in which new digital tools will help students. So, if this will be used appropriately, video games and adaptive learning technologies offer tools that can empower teachers to do their jobs more effectively, more precisely, and more equitably. And the last one is, according to Michael B. Horn, the digital learning. So in a world where digital learning becomes the platform for our education system, however, this whole notion should turn around. So in a time variable, learning constant competency-based or mastery-based system, so much as the type Salkind has talked about, a teacher's job will be richly rewarding around these types of activities. Responsive, differentiated instruction that meets students where they are and adapts to their needs is well worth the effort. Although it can be tricky to manage, research shows that responsive, differentiated instruction that meets students where they are and adapts to their needs is well worth the effort. In Hattie's follow-up book, Visible Learning Interaction, he explains that a meta-analysis found that differentiated instruction has positive effects, enabling teachers to base their instruction on students' prior learning and set appropriate levels of challenge. And that brings us to the end of my presentation. Thank you for watching.